What is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a hot minute since I've done one of these videos, but we are going to bring it back with Blast Fall Finals on the cards. I wanted to run through the event itself, the predictions, and of course maybe a little bit of fantasy towards the end. So thank you all for once again joining me here on the channel. This is going to be a nice raw video, just talk through the new Blast event. I'm looking forward to this one. This one is probably, in my opinion, the biggest CS2 event we've had so far. IM Sydney had a few lesser teams in it, and it was kind of the first big test really of CS2. Still has bugs, still had all the problems that the pros were talking about. Then of course we had CSC not too long ago. Again, a very good event. And of course, slightly limited in terms of who was playing, who could watch as well. So for me, four finals feels like the big one. Big in arena, in the Royal Arena, of course, in Copenhagen, and some pretty sick teams. Welcome. So what we're going to do, we're going to run through the event itself, roughly how things work. Then we're going to jump on over towards my predictions. Blast have a pick'ems, which is sick. And you don't have to be kind of on edge like you have to do with the coin. We have to try and play things safe. You don't have to play things safe here, which is good. And then we're going to do a bit of fantasy to finish things off. So let's go check out the event itself. Of course, overall, this one should be pretty damn spicy, like we mentioned. So 425,000 prize pool. When it comes down to it, it's going to be pretty damn sick. 8 teams, of course, in the Royal Arena in Copenhagen. It's sick. We're going to start things off, of course, Group A, including FaZe, NIP, Cloud9, and Na'Vi. Now, some pretty interesting stories here. You've got FaZe, who are currently on a, 15-game win streak. They have been absolutely farming. The last, series they lost was to Gamer Legion, right? If I'm right in saying, right at the start of IM Sydney. So they've been farming. They've won 3 tournaments off the rip. And they're just showing how good they are, right? Even, 2 of them being on LAN, one of them, of course, being the online tournament that a Thunder pick. They're doing really well. They're playing some incredible CS. And they're probably, or they're not probably, they're definitely the favorites coming into towards this tournament without a shadow of a doubt. They're going to kickstart things over against Ninjas in Pajamas. Now, normally, if it was just any old NIP, I'd count this game as the very, very quick 2-0. I still think there's maybe a little bit more of a talking point than most people realize when you come into this game. For those who are unaware, Ninjas in Pajamas have gone through a bit of a change. So, of course, they still remain of Res, Headtrick, and Config, but they've brought in Alex and brought back Esatag. Now, I actually quite like these changes. I think Alex is actually pretty damn good, in all fairness. I think he maybe gets slept on quite a bit, but what he did with that Movistar roster for quite a while, they were qualifying for tournaments that most people would never even count them to be there. I'm interested to see what he can do. Esatag, I'm glad to see him back. I think my GOAT is underappreciated. I like Esatag. I think he's a very good player. I think he's quite underappreciated. Obviously, Ninjas in Pajamas have dropped off a cliff in terms of performance-wise. Look, as you can see, they're ranked 24th in the world, but if things keep up, there's a world in which this team would start to fall outside of the top 30. They've gone through 2 big changes. I'm interested to see how it does. It's going to be an interesting Ninjas in Pajamas, all things considered. So we'll see what we get out of them. It'll be fun. FaZe, obviously, the biggest story about FaZe is that every single tournament they're coming into right now, it feels like the last dance, the last hurrah. So you don't really know what to expect out of FaZe or how long we'll see FaZe. But when it comes down to this team is playing incredibly. Rops is, as Twist already kind of spoke about, probably the best player in CS2 right now. I'd have to agree with him. I don't really think there's anybody who can contend with it as well. Karrigan's calling a masterclass. Twist himself also stepping up. Brokey makes AWPing look easy on CS2, which isn't the easiest thing. And of course, Rain, Mr. Consistent as ever. So I've been really enjoying watching this team. Been playing some great Counter-Strike. We can run for the team just themselves. Vitality, of course, the big change for them, bringing in the UK CSGO Mezzy, which is sick. I really am interested to see how he slots in towards this team. A lot of people have been talking about Mezzy being one of the most overrated players within top CS. I would disagree with that. I think it's just the fact that he was the only real good player over towards Fnatic, in my opinion, or only consistently good player. I think when he comes in towards his Vitality team, he no longer is kind of required to be the carry, which I think is actually where Mezzy does a lot of his best work. He'll still play some decent positions, but he won't be the hero rifler. You're looking at individual like Flames and Spinks to actually do that for them. So I think Mezzy, if he comes in as essentially what is maybe the 3rd, potentially the 4th best fragger in a team, that's an insane thing to say when you look at Vitality, because you've obviously got ZywOo, who is meant to be the hard carry, but obviously ZywOo hasn't been playing well on CS2. So I think there's there's a question mark in my eyes above Vitality about what we see out of them, just because I feel like for me, ZywOo's taking a little bit of time to adjust to the game, But I'm hoping he's on enough time now. He also hasn't played a lot of games. Vitality just haven't really played a lot of CS since CS2 has come out. So I'm really hoping we get to see something out of these guys coming forward. Complexity look amazing at the moment. Ranked 6th in the world. And generally, this is the best we've probably ever seen Complexity in my eyes. You know, making it towards a final in itself is something I never would expect. So I got to give a lot of credit. And I don't think it's just the Elige factor. JT's playing some of the best CS he's played in a long time. I think at the tail end of, was it Melbourne, which I think it was Melbourne that worked. Complexity did really badly. And at the time they had Fang as well. We were all kind of in the same boat of Fang probably needs to go. But if this doesn't work and it continues not to work, then maybe JT's up next. But I take all that back now. They've been playing some great CS. I think they've probably been, maybe bar FaZe, the second best team who have, in terms of improvement going in towards CS2. In my opinion, and I'll always kind of stand by this, I don't think Complexity were a great team on Go. I thought they were so average. I didn't think they were the best team in the region because Liquid were, in my opinion. But now, without a shadow of a doubt, they actually are an actual contending team. You could make a pretty good argument to say that Complexity have a chance here at Blast. And honestly, I can't really argue it. I have to agree, they're playing great. Elige is playing insane. Floppy stepping up in big moments. Grim's having his impact as well. And Halls looks good on the AWP, and JT's calling a masterclass. So I got to give him a lot of credit. I think Complexity are playing really well. So who knows what we see out of Complexity. But at the same time, they're also a team that, even though they are playing really well, they could come towards this tournament, shit the bed, get 2 losses, and then before you know it, we say goodbye to them very quickly. So I think it's a tough argument. Who knows, basically. And then we got Na'Vi. Of course, Na'Vi themselves going through a pretty big change in that of so-called Simple has been benched. He's inactive. He doesn't really want to play CS2. Wonderful has stepped in. Now, if any of those of you who follow the tier 2 scene, you know how good Wonderful actually is. He's incredible. Wonderful has been so good playing for Sprout, putting up monstrous numbers. I'm really excited to see him play at a tier 1 level. He is a tier 1 player. There's no two ways about it. It might take a bit of time for him to adjust, may I say, to Alexi B in his system. But I think overall, Wonderful is without a doubt a tier 1 player. And I think he genuinely could really elevate Na'Vi at the moment, who have been a little bit dicey. Of course, they played with Blade for a little bit as well. It's not really what you want of what is meant to be one of the best teams in the world. This team is so random, though, when you look at it. Overall, if you were to show me a year ago this Na'Vi team, I wouldn't believe you. But this is late 2023, Roster Mania Na'Vi is where we're at. Astralis, I think they're a dead team walking. To be honest, I'm 99% sure Borup's going to get dropped. And it probably will be Buzz, I'm assuming, as well. It's probably going to be the other one. It actually is a bit of an argument there in terms of roles-wise, whether it's Buzz or Stair. I think maybe it might be Buzz and Stair. Stair hasn't found the form really yet at all. But if the rumors are true that Yabi and Stown are coming to the team, they're just direct upgrades. Borup, unfortunately, just isn't a tier 1 player. There's no two ways about it. You can't really make an argument for it, unfortunately. He is simply not good enough. He actually even struggled a little bit into tier 2. I was quite surprised to see him get the call-up, to be perfectly honest, to Astralis, but I think they just didn't really have the choices at the time. His time is limited. This is probably his last tournament. I'm assuming post Blast, they'll bring in Stown and Yabi, and then it's all about getting ready for finals if they make it. Or, of course, they've got BetBoom Dubai LAN, and then the RMR starting into early next year. So I think Astralis, they can maybe get to playoffs. I don't really think they'll get much further, but we'll come to that in a little bit. Heading over towards Cloud9, minus Shiro plus Boomich coming through. It is the 5-rifle team. It's sick. I'm really interested to see how this team does. For those of you who maybe follow the tier 2 again and seen what Boomich's been doing over at OneWin, he's been calling a bit of a masterclass. It's a, how do we call it? It's a wacky style of play. That's how we'll go. But he's been actually playing some pretty good CS with OneWin. They've been performing quite well. Of course, now they've been gutted a little bit. They've lost Boomich. They've lost Deco, who's obviously moved on with Hooch to Aurora. So they've lost their coach, they lost their best AWPer, and then they lost their IGL. So OneWin are in trouble. There's no two ways around it. But Boomich has been playing well. He's been rifling decently, to be perfectly honest to him, and calling a very good game. So I think I'm really excited about Cloud9. I think for me, Cloud9 are my dark horse. I genuinely think coming into the tournament, we could see Cloud9 in the finals. I may sound random, may sound rogue, but that's genuinely where I feel. We always spoke about NIP and then Heroic, another dead team walking. They've got their Danish boys there. It's good to see both Astralis and Heroic on you know, a local stage on LAN, but I can't see anything coming out from this team. You know, dupree's been playing really well, but he's on a 3-month contract. Cadian's in for one tournament only. He's a professional, so I'm assuming we'll get kind of the best out of Cadian, but what can you really expect out of him? Tessus, I think, is probably pretty gutted with the whole situation. Same for Shush. And then Zyphon is actually a really nice stand-in. He's actually a very good player as well. And I feel like if it's true that we do see Stan and Yabi going to Astralis, I wouldn't mind if Heroic kept Zyphon. I think he's actually a very good player in his own regard. But of course, winner of this goes to Blast Premier for final. And you get a neat little 200k. So it's not bad at all. Group B is going to start with Vitality taking on Heroic. And then Complexity taking on Astralis. So that's how things go. Let's go walk over to the Blast Pick'ems. Now these are pretty cool. I like this. So this is where we get to make our predictions with not a lot on the line, which is where I can actually go with confidence picks. So, you know, obviously when there's the majors and we get the coin, you want to get the coin. So you play it safe by putting like the favorites, for example, like FaZe, you just put them to go through rather than going like 2 or 3-0 in the coin. I like this system. I get to just actually pick. So FaZe 2-0. I have to click them. There we go. Yeah. Oh, okay. No, it's on it. Okay, cool. FaZe 2-0. I think NIP go 0-2. I hate to say it. I think it will be the truth. I think Vitality are going to go 2-0. And unfortunately, I think Heroic are going to go 0-2. We'll talk through those for now. Basically, FaZe, best team in the world right now. It would be kind of stupid not to put them 2-0. NIP, fucking who knows what we're going to get out of NIP. They are in a weird space in my eyes. So basically, God knows what we're going to get out of this team. Vitality with a pickup of Mezzi, I think, look really sick. And I think in that group, I'd actually probably say maybe Complexity have the better chance. But I want to go Vitality because I'm expecting ZywOo to show up. And if ZywOo comes into a tournament playing the way we know he can, which we haven't actually probably seen yet, that's when I think this team can do really well. Heroic, unfortunately, like I said, dead team walking. I think it'd be really weird to think anything else outside of it. So let's look at the finals. FaZe. I don't think it's too much of a doubt in our minds that FaZe should make the finals. Now, this could be a rogue one. We'll go back towards the bracket of how things might go through, so to say. So here's how it works. So first, second, and third place all make it through. If you finish first in your group, you go directly to the semis. If you finish second or third, you go into that quarterfinal matchup. So I think FaZe will go through here. They'll beat NIP. I think Cloud9 will beat Na'Vi, even though I really like that Na'Vi team. And I think Na'Vi will make it through. I think over here, Vitality will beat Heroic. And then I think Complexity will beat Astralis. But I think Astralis will be the other team to make it through by beating Heroic. In that Danish derby, I'm not too sure if that lower final is on stage. I really hope it is, just because Danish derby is pretty sick on stage. I don't really know how it's actually all been set up. I think, and then of course by Cloud9 finishing second, they would go there against the third place of Group B. So probably Astralis, if we are to be right. Do that, then they face against Group B first place, which is probably Vitality, and then it's who can win out of Vitality Cloud9. That one's tough to call. Part of me wants to say Cloud9 here, but I think probably the best decision is a Vitality FaZe final is probably where I'm going to lean. Something in the region of that, and I think overall FaZe with the victory. I know this is playing it safe. I know this is the quote-unquote the safe call, but I think generally for me that feels like the best port to call. I think if Cloud9 had somebody else that wasn't FaZe or Vitality in that semi, I would go Cloud9 to go in the finals and then lose to FaZe. But the fact that they don't, I think is going to leave them, unfortunately, in that situation. So, finally, we've got a partner we're going to be working with, of course, for the foreseeable future, which is Ego. Now, Ego, for those of you who don't know, I can show you the front page of the Ego app. It is a all-round fantasy in kind of every facet. It's sick. Ego's a really cool app. They've got a lot going on across multiple different games. And we're going to start working together on a few little bits and bobs, including a little bit of a fantasy league. So all you have to do, click the link. This link will be in the bio below, but they'll be, all on Twitter, or you can just search it up as well. So not too bad, but it will be either on my Twitter. It'll also be in the link below. Go and click it because we can do a little bit of a fancy. You come join. There is some good surprises coming up over the span of the next, the next few weeks. We're gonna have some more of these videos coming through. So we have to do join league, draft a new team. Then once you're in here, then you get to select your team. So first of all, we're gonna start by selecting our team. And this is where, so you got a budget of $1,000 to work with. You got to make your selections. So, Rops, I think is, in my opinion, a must buy. 219, it's quite expensive, but I think is a worthy pickup, I would say, in my eyes. Now, I want to go some of my youngsters, and part of me wants to go Wonderful here because I do like what I've been seeing out of Wonderful, but I'm trying to think what is realistic, right? So if we're thinking of it in this way, if we're thinking of it in you get points, so basically, because this league is no move, as it says right here, because it's no move, it means you can't make changes throughout the league. I think that's the better way to play it. It means you've got to stick to your guns from the get-go. The way I think we're going to go about this is go who's going to have a bit of longevity in the tournament, who's going to go the distance. One player I want to get in is one of the Cloud9 boys, and I think part of me wants to say Boomich for the meme, but no, I think probably the best one I'm going to go for, I'm tempted to go electronic, but he's actually quite expensive as well. I want to see actually who's the cheapest overall. Cheapest is Borup. Don't think it's too much of a surprise. I don't think Apex is a bad pickup though. Apex plays a lot of those heavy rifle roles where he's in the action, and I think Vitality are a team that can go far. But then obviously Karrigan does the same thing, playing a lot of entry roles, and also FaZe should go the distance. So I think if I'm going to go for like an IGL or a little bit of a cheaper player to pick up, I'm going to go with Karrigan. I feel like he's quite a good one. That leaves us with 3 players, and we've got a budget of just shy of 600. So we've got to get at least one more guy under 200 is basically, it actually needs to be 195 or less. So maybe, basically we have to kind of pick one of these guys, which is actually a bit of an issue because where do we go now? I don't really want to go Hobbit. I don't think Config's a bad pick generally, but I think because NIP will go out early, he won't get a lot of points. And I think that's probably the best way to play it here. If we're playing it safe, go with points. I don't want to go JT because JT I don't think will put the numbers up. Astralis should get out of their group. There's a world in which they don't. Basically, have to be really careful here. I don't want to go Shush either because Heroic, I think, are, like I said, a dead team walking. Yeah, it really is a tough one to call here because the only one that kind of feels like it makes sense is Hobbit. And if you put him in like supporting roles because he's so cheap, or yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go Hobbit because he's so cheap. And that leaves us now with 406 to get 2 players. So it means we can get 2 slightly more expensive players in the 200 range. So we're going to look back over towards 204-ish. I want to get Mezzi because I got to support my UK boy. And then it shows us how much we have left and what we have to buy. Every part of me here wants to go Axel. I think Axel will be a good pickup. I still think this Cloud9 team can do well. And I think Axel is still one of the best players in the world when he gets confident. I think maybe this team will make him a little bit more confident. JL is not a bad pickup either. Over towards Na'Vi. There is just question marks about how well Na'Vi do. I'm going to go Axel in this situation. So this is going to be my team. We're going to go with this. Now we've got to assign ourselves a captain. I think probably Captain Rops, I don't think is too bad. Captain Boost gets 1.5. Of course, if you're going to boost anyone, you have to boost Rops. And I think with that being said, we can review the team and submit it. That's what we're going to go for. Here, of course, if you want to come join the league, do come join. We got a few people already. I did a tweet just a few minutes ago, so a few people have come and joined already. But if you're not, come and join the league. The link will be down below, also all over Twitter as well. And of course, I'll copy this exact link right here for you to come and join. But yeah, basically, that's the team we're going to go for. I think that should work in my eyes. Rops and Karrigan, just because I think FaZe will go deep. We got Hobbit coming in for basically his price, but also because I don't think C9 are too bad. Vitality, I'm going to go for Mezzi, my UK CSGO. And then, of course, we're going to finish things off for Axel, who is, you got to remember, 2022, end of the year, the 4th best player in the world. #1 rifler in the world, too. Do not forget it. This guy potentially could bring off some stars. We'll have to see how things go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure. Shout out to Ego as well for joining us on some of these videos that are going to be up and coming. Make sure to go and check them out. They have been amazing already to deal with so far. So I definitely vibe with it. I think the HLTV is one of the cleanest looks already. Go and check it out. Thank you for joining me for a little bit of a preview. It's been fun. It's been fun. I like a nice little raw, unedited kind of one. Have a little ramble. Get to chat to you guys. If you like these, we're probably going to do a few more in the future. I could maybe do a little bit of editing on them. Maybe I'll keep them raw. Let me know what you'd prefer. But for now, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for swinging by. And, well, I will see you all soon. Probably see you post-blast when the next event comes up. maybe even World Finals, and we can review how we did here. See you soon.